So yesterday I discussed 10 reasons why the iPhone is better than the Android device. And in this video, we're going to talk about 10 reasons why Android is better than iPhone. That video is coming up right now. Let's go. So before we get started here, let me just mention one thing. All of these opinions are my own. These are all subjective, meaning that it doesn't mean it's absolutely true for you, and it doesn't mean that it absolutely has to make sense for you. But it is going to be some reasons why you might consider one platform over the other. So let's get into the reasons right now, and be sure to share yours down below in the comment section so we could talk about what you think is better about Android or iPhone or vice versa.
Okay, so here we are. 2 Android phones, 2 iPhones, Note 8, Pixel 2, iPhone 8, iPhone 10. And I know what some people are thinking right out the gate from clicking this video. Oh, this guy is an Apple hater, Android fanboy. You've turned on me, Nick. What the freak? I come over here, I see some iPhone videos, and now you're saying Android is better. What? This is a technology channel. I use both of these platforms very rigorously, so I have great experience with both of them, and I'm just sharing 10 reasons why one is better than the other. Now, if you use Google and you just don't ever want to use Apple, I'd start to question, do you really love technology? Because if you love technology, you'd be willing to try both platforms. Now, the same thing goes for Apple. If you love Apple, but you don't like Android, then do you really love technology? Do you really love smartphones? It's more like you really love Google, or you really just love the brand Apple in that case. First reason is the ability to change display DPI on the Android phone. Now, this has to be done in developer options, but this is not the case here on the iPhone. Now, you can tweak the text size. You can do some zoomed view on at least the iPhone 8. You can't do that on the iPhone 10. So if I go to display, I scroll down, I go to standard, I can go to zoomed view here, which will make things bigger. But over here on the iPhone 10, you can't do that. Here on the Pixel 2, we go into our developer options. Let's locate those, developer options. And then if I scroll down here, just a little bit further down, it's way down there, but we're gonna find it here, smallest width. So the DP settings right here. So I can change the width of the screen. This is something you cannot do. I can also do this on the Note 8. I'm not gonna do it here. We're gonna show the example on the Pixel, but I can change the width of the screen. Now look how much smaller that just got. So that is pretty awesome. Something you can do on Android that you can never do on the iPhone right here. And that has more to do with the ability to customize. But I'm not going to cover the obvious reasons in here why Android is better. I covered that in a previous video. Customization, lower price points, better values, things like that. I've already covered that in prior versions. So the second reason is going to be that Android supports external devices such as a USB mouse. Okay, so we're not just gonna talk the talk, we're gonna walk the walk. You're like, what are you doing? What is this big dusty keyboard doing in the shot? I was enjoying the video. Come on, man. Anyway, here we go. USB-C connector. Now this connects to a USB 2.0 port to the Note 8. This came included in the box of the Note 8. Now I do have a mouse right here next to us, as you can see, and I'm gonna use this to show how this works. So I'm gonna take this extra adapter because I wanna use the keyboard and the mouse. So I'm gonna stick it in there. You can see it does this little thing. It's got like 4 USB ports here, and it goes into the external device. Now here's the Note. I'm gonna put it in the USB-C port, and I'm just gonna plug it in down here behind the camera where you're not gonna see it. It's gonna be on a little bit of an angle because it's hanging off the table. But you know, you can get a smaller, more portable one. I just got this real cheap one. I'm gonna plug in the mouse, first of all, and you're gonna see the mouse start to work. Now, just let me get the keyboard attachment. Okay, so I now have the keyboard attached to the Note over there. Now this should work with Pixel phones as well, but you can see, I can click any one of these links, best videos, best smartphone services, blog, merch, contact, about section here. You can click any of them on the Pixel or the Note 8 here with the mouse. We can also go ahead and scroll up with our finger, go here, and let's say we wanna go back to google.com. You can see google.com, and boom, we're there. Let's search up the weather. I mean, look at this power here from the Android device, especially considering you're using a keyboard. Again, you can use a Bluetooth keyboard. You don't have to use a really long attachment like this. You can use Bluetooth mouses on here as well, and it would work about the same, but just have the ability to support external devices is pretty cool. If you don't want to buy extra accessories, you got an old keyboard laying around, this stuff is just not happening on the iPhone. So that's pretty awesome there. And that's my second reason as to why Android is better than Apple. Okay, so coming in at number 3 is the ability to clear cache for more storage on Android. A subscriber pointed this out as well. I already had this one in mind, but he just reaffirmed to me this point, like, dude, you got to include that storage and the cache, clearing the cache in the Android phone, because it's just better than the iPhone. You cannot do this on iPhone. Now for the iPhone, what you usually got to do is I usually just delete the app entirely, reinstall it just to clear the cache. It's very annoying. Over here on Android, you just go to your apps, locate the app. For example, Instagram is an app you use probably quite a bit. You can follow me over there, Nick Ackerman channel Instagram page, shameless plug. But if we go into storage, you can see, boom, if you hit clear cache, it'll clear all the cache. So you can see 177 megabytes of cache here on the Note 8. Now that might seem insignificant because you got a 64 gig storage, but if you're running low on space, this can all add up over the, like, all the applications you have. This can add up to decreasing a lot of your storage. So all I simply do is clear the cache and we're down to 0. So that's pretty cool to see there. Now over here on the Pixel 2, the cache is 574 megabytes. You can see on the Pixel 2, it's using quite a bit more cache, almost half a gig, or it's actually over half a gig. So you see how this can add up on your phone, and it's easy to do right here on Android. So that's my third reason why Android is better than iPhone. Okay, next up is true multitasking. Now you can go ahead and open up Calendar, come home, go to settings, go in this little applications tray, same over here for this device, go to Calendar, hit the home button, come home, and then you could just double click the home button, hop in between your apps. That is app switching. That is not multitasking. So over here, we can do true multitasking. So I hit the Calendar, right? And I hit this little, application switch button right here. And we go down to the bottom. Let's say I want to open up YouTube at the same time that I'm using Calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and find YouTube, for example. So YouTube's up there. I was watching an old video of mine, Android versus iOS. If we go to Calendar, boom, we got some multitasking there. Now you can't do this on the iPhone, which is totally annoying. And on a Samsung device, you even have more applications than you do on the Pixel. Now the Pixel can also do this within certain applications. So let's go ahead and open up YouTube, for example. You'll take the application, you'll just drag it up here to split the screen. We'll go to settings, for example, and boom, you even have multitasking on this small screen. So you can say that it's not necessary on a smaller screen. It comes in handy when you do need this feature. So I do love that. Now on the Note, you can also like pull this application down. Let's pull this application down. On a Note, we can take this application, hold it, and we can have a little pop view here on the Note. So the Note will allow you to do even more heavy multitasking. So I can move this YouTube around, open it up, have YouTube playing down here in the corner in its own separate window. So let's say I'm watching a video and I want to open up calculator over here. I can do some calculations, move that out of the way, move it down, and it's still running. So, I mean, that is some powerful stuff right there for Android, and an easy win over the iPhone. And that comes in at number 4 for me as to why Android is better than iPhone for 2018. My fifth reason is true NFC compatibility. So let's go ahead and pull down a notifications tray, scroll over, and you can see NFC right there. If I toggle that on, I have the ability to transfer photos between different devices. Now you could do that with AirDrop. I understand it's a Bluetooth Wi-Fi type thingy going on there, cellular data, but Pixel 2 also has NFC, and stuff like this is where it really matters. So this Canon camera right here, this is my SL2. I use this for photography, not so much for video, but when I want to transfer pictures, this is NFC supported. All I have to do is tap this camera to the phone and it will start syncing up. Also, if you do like have headphones that are NFC, for example, I got some headphones that are NFC. I just tap it with the phone, boom, it pairs. Over here on the iPhone, no, you're not having that. The only way you're going to get to use NFC on an iPhone is when you're using Apple Pay. So number 5 is NFC. Number 6 is better value. Now, I'm not talking about price. I said earlier, I'm not going to talk about price. We know you can get lower prices on Android, but I'm talking about what you get for your money. So whether it's a $700 phone or a $600 phone, Android typically gives you more features, more bang for the money you're going to pay. So even if it's at the same price point as an iPhone, for example, a Note 8 is $900, you can say that's not a cheaper phone. Of course not. The iPhone 10 is $1,000. Now for the same price point, you're getting so much more in the Note 8, giving it a better value proposition in my opinion. Now, value is subjective. It's going to matter whether you live in the Apple ecosystem or you live in the Android ecosystem, but features to features. I mean, multitasking, you do have dual cameras, bigger screen, less money. Samsung Pay, killing Apple Pay. Over here, you got an S Pen on board, IP68, IP67, 6 gigs of RAM, 3 gigs of RAM. I mean, in pretty much all areas, you're one-upping in the iPhone on the Note 8. For example, Pixel 2 XL, that one's kind of closer, but I'm just saying, some Androids just give you better value for the money, even if they're the more pricey Android phones. So that's number 6 for me as to why Android is better than iPhone in 2018. Next up, number 7 is Android manufacturers like Samsung, for example, LG, for example. They usually give the customer what they want. This is a totally different philosophy from the Apple ecosystem, which basically likes to do whatever they want to do to support their vision of being minimalistic. Now, some people do like that, but in that process, they had to remove some headphone jacks. They killed off some old iPods that people really loved. So in this process, though, Android has basically always listened to their customers and given them what they want. Samsung listened last year. They heard all of the complaints about the headphone jack, and they made the case when they launched the Note 8. We are including the headphone jack. And you know, people are mad about the fingerprint scanner being up there, and guess what? You're likely not going to see that fingerprint scanner up there on the next Samsung devices. So you know when you get an Android device that the manufacturer does listen to you. Now, one thing that they don't really listen to, and I don't think it's not that they're not listening, it's that it's just really hard to get this as on point as Apple, is the software updates. So we know software updates, you know, people complain about that a lot. The fact is that when you have tons of different scattered, you know, Android phones, fragmentation, AKA, it's really hard to keep everything updated, whereas Apple's controlling everything. They just got different sizes of their phone, same software. Number 8 for Android is you can install applications from wherever you want. Now, I don't recommend you do this all the time. You could infect your phone, but if you really want to install like maybe a Google Pixel calculator, for example, let's say a Google Pixel calculator, you can find stuff on the XDA forums, and you could just install APKs. You have to go ahead and make sure unknown sources is checked on, but you can see right there, Google Calculator APKs. If you want certain applications, just go on the internet, put the APK, make sure it's from a safe source, and you can download it. Now, some people abuse this by downloading and stealing music. I don't recommend that. I think that you should give credit where credit's due. If an artist puts their heart and soul into their work, I do think you should pay up for the song, but some people do that too. I'm not recommending that, however. So yeah, that's number 8, is that you can install Android apps from any source. 10 reasons why Android phones are better than iPhones. Coming in at number 9 is Google Assistant beats the pants off Siri's 10 days out of 10 days, 7 out of 7 days, 7 days, 365. If I'm going out with a phone, Siri always lets me down in comparison to Google Pixel. And though whatever Android phone you have more than likely has the Google Assistant. And it's small things like navigation, like some quick calculations. A lot of times Siri will be like, I didn't understand you. I don't know what you're saying. Oh, and it'll take me to some Wolfram Alpha thing where it just shows me this little box of information. Whereas Google basically gets it every time. So what is 10 times 10 times 2 times 3 times 4?
The answer is 2,400.
I mean, you see how fast it is? Now I'm sure Siri can get that too. What is 10 times 10 times 10 times 2 times 4?
It's 8,000.
So Siri can get that too. But it's just times when I'm like, can you go ahead and text this person back? Can you go ahead and do this? Siri just oftentimes fails. So I think if you're picking one assistant, the Google Assistant will be more useful for most people. And at number 10, and the final, I saved the best for last, not as restrictive as the iPhone experience. Now, I'm gonna have to move the Google Pixel 2 off to the side for this example, move the iPhones over, because I drew an illustration. Now, my artwork is on point, so just go ahead and leave it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the artwork, but sarcasm. Let's go over here, auto rotate. You can see, pull it down. I drew the little Android figurine right here, and here is the hardware company, Apple. So within this Apple ecosystem, you can see, let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. I'm gonna move these iPhones off to the side, move the Note in the middle. I drew this with the S Pen. So as you can see, Apple right here is a hardware company. Now within this wall or this garden, aka this big circle, or their Apple world, I'm basically calling it. Because Apple is a hardware company, they want you to use the Mac. You can see I drew the Mac right there. They want you to use the watch. They want you to use the phone. They want you to use the iPad. They want you to use the iMac. Now, I use all these devices, so I know where they're coming from with this. Because they're a hardware company, they want you to stay on these products. So they separate these products. They make you feel like you should have them all. They make them work very well together because they want to draw you in and keep you on that platform. Now, Android, on the other hand, is an advertising company. So basically, they just want the devices to get ads to you, for services and things like that, Google services. Why do you think Google services are all over the iPhone too? Because they're not a hardware company. However, that's going to change soon with the HTC acquisition for Google Pixel. You're going to see better hardware from Google, but they're still going to remain mostly an ad company. So what that means is that, Android device is more free. They don't really care if you use an iPhone. They don't care if you use an Android. They don't care if you're using your Android, plugging it into a Windows. They don't care how you're using Android. It's a free ecosystem just to deliver advertisements to you. So with that being said, it feels more like it's your device. You can do whatever you want with it. You can customize the crap out of it. You can install anything you want on it because they really don't care. With Apple, they want their stuff very tight-knit, very Apple, oriented. There's not going to be a lot of customization going on. Why you think there's so many views on videos for jailbreaks? Because people want to do this stuff, but you can't. And that's just a reason why Android is better. It's not as restrictive, and you'll feel this sense of freedom if you've been on Apple for so long and you come to Android. So that's it. That's my 10 reasons as to why Android phones are better than iPhones. Yes, there's 100 more for Android. There's 100 more for iPhone. We could go on all day with this, but if you found this video helpful, making a decision if you might want to go from iPhone to Android, or you're cool just staying on your iPhone, you don't care about all that crap, go ahead and hit the thumbs up for me. I might consider doing 10 reasons why Android sucks and 10 reasons why iPhone sucks. If you guys want to see that, make sure you comment that down below as well. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well. I'll catch you all on the next one, and peace.